It's shiny. It's awesome. It's cool. It's a piece
Good.
of hardware that I can give for my baby boy.
Porque eu não comi nada antes.
You know,
Não comi nada. Eu vim
absolutely.
treinar.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother. 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 Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Hello, and welcome back to Hold On, I'm Talking, Brother, the UFC 270 preview. My name is Joe Greenwood. And as usual, I'm joined by my regular co-host, Tom Ballon. Tom, how are you? How is life treating you?
Hello, Joe. Yeah, all fine. All fine here.
Good.
Days are getting longer. Sun is shining a little bit more.
Good.
Got to say, going into this first main card of the year, I've already shared with you that I'm a little bit disappointed with this card.
Why? I think there's good stuff on it.
Well, we're going to get into this, I guess, later on. But I'm struggling to see too much action outside of the two main fights we've got there. Which, of course, there's plenty to talk about. But, one of them we've already seen play out a couple of times.
Okay, fair enough.
So, looking forward to hearing your motivational speech on the card, because I know you're hyped.
I'm not hyped, but I think this is actually a good card. I think that there's, what we know of the card. I mean, we're 5 days out, and we still don't know what the fifth fight on the main card is, unless they've just decided, fuck it, we're only going to do 4 fights and shortchange people even more.
I mean,
did you see that they raised the price of pay-per-views? Not that that's a problem for me, but because
you get premium access from the.
I have a BT subscription. Wink, wink. Thank you, Dad. But that makes me sound really rich. That is not the case. I just use my dad's login. We'll get into the card in a second, but first off, let's talk about the news. And the news being that Calvin Kattar is the fucking man. What a performance.
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely.
Silence some haters.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there were question marks against him, of course, after absorbing the most strikes in UFC history. Something like 500 blows to the head in 25 minutes.
Yeah. Was it 500
Guinness
significant fight shots or something like that?
Yes, Joe, it was 500 significant strikes. But fortunately, he's clears to have shaken that off for now.
Yes.
We'll check. Probably won't check in on him in 20 years' time.
No. Yeah, best forgotten. Yes, exactly.
But looked great, didn't he, Joe? Looked great last Saturday.
He did. It was really impressive. I loved how. Actually, do you know what? I really like the fact that he had a clear game plan and he stuck with it to the very end, which was Giga Chikadze.
Elbow to oblivion.
Which, by the way, do you know the code that they used for it?
No, tell me.
They kept yelling Stevens, as in Jeremy Stevens, the knockout blow he landed on him.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. That's so good. The elbows to close the distance, to then get into range for dirty boxing to the body. And also just the fact that Chikadze is a known kicker, great kicks, has a kick that he has named after himself, the Giga kick, the liver kick, and he just did the thing that you should always do against a kicker, which is just walk towards them and cut the cage off as best you can.
Yeah, Joe. I don't know how you could spot the kicker in round 2, 3, 4, a little bit around 5.
Round 3, I think, was his best round, because he sort of started to have a little bit of I've got to dig in deep now. And I thought that was his best round, that he still lost.
50-45 for you, Joe?
I think 50-45. I think round 4, I was like, this is close to a 10-8. This was just brutal. I think that's kind of one of the things against Kattar, is that he's not enough of a finisher, is he?
No.
No, he just... I think that's going to be the thing that gets him in trouble, is that he's going to have these longer and longer fights, isn't he? Just because he can't put people away.
Is he just a shit Max Holloway, Joe?
No. Because Max Holloway's just on a different level, and I think to say that of a person is... No, I wouldn't say that. He's just... I just think he's just a really well-rounded fighter who I think has shown that he can stick to game plans and see them out to the end. I mean, the Max fight is just, I mean, what the fuck are you supposed to do in that? You've got a hurricane coming at you, and there's not much you can really do. But I think he's a really high-level gatekeeper, is how I'd put him. I think he can get to a title shot. No, I think, like, if you can't beat him, you're not a top 5 guy. Like, I'm not talking about a Derek Brunson.
So, Joe, if you're Calvin Kattar, which is your Twitter handle going to be? Is it going to be shit Max Holloway or high level gatekeeper?
High level gatekeeper all day, every day.
Shit Max Holloway. You're taking some shine off the man, off the blessed Express. Yeah. That means the top of your career is Max Holloway.
What you're saying is, though, is that, like, if you're saying he's a shit Max Holloway, is like, that's the Aldi brand Max Holloway, is what you're saying. And I love Aldi, by the way. That's not me shitting on Aldi. I'm just saying that it's got a bit of a, like, I was a bit cheap and naff. Whereas, if you're saying he's a gatekeeper, I feel like he's close to a title shot anyway. If you're top 5. If you're top 5.
Joey. I feel like that performance against Max kind of rules you out of title contention.
Whatever.
Ever.
No, rankings will eventually support you. Like, if he gets 2 more wins, you're not saying...
Until Max retires.
Oh, get lost. Like, you can't do that. Anyway, I gave an opinion about who Kattar should fight next. And I think you think that I was smoking crack.
You told me that you thought he should fight Henry Cejudo, Joe.
Yes, Cejudo. The most undeserving, like, big name
Double
ever.
champ.
Double champ. No, he's not the most undeserving double champ ever. I think he's very much deserving of it. However, the thought that he thinks that he can just walk into featherweight and just get a title shot is ridiculous. Like, if the only divisions that he can do that are flyweight, which he's never going to go to again, and bantamweight. Like, he has no credibility now because Gane is by far and away the best bantamweight in the world. And you've got Aljamain Sterling, who is the official champ, in quotations. You've got TJ Dillashaw's back, Jose Aldo, Corey Sandhagen, who, to me, if he fought any of those guys, I'm not sure I would pick him over any of them, to be honest. Maybe Sandhagen because of the defensive wrestling. But if he was still the bantamweight champ and he was saying, I'd fight Volkanovski in March or April, I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's do it. But he's been away for ages. He cherry-picked his fights. You know, he tried to fight Aldo after he'd lost to Moraes. You know, he fought Dominic Cruz, who hadn't fought in, 2 years? Since the Sandhagen fight? The Garbrandt fight, 3 years? Like, I'm sorry, there's just not enough of a resume there. And it's like, if you're going to go up to featherweight, earn it. He has not earned a featherweight shot. Thank you.
So you wouldn't watch it?
Oh, fuck yeah, I'd watch it. But that's not saying that he's earned it.
It's an intriguing matchup. I guess the only thing, of course, I agree with you there. I can't make any argument that he has earned a shot at featherweight. We were talking a little bit before the pod about the kind of state of the featherweight division. You were saying it's a great division, but for me,
I'm not saying it's a great division. I'm saying it's a good division.
It's a little. Well, if you look at lightweight and bantamweight, either side of it, those are great divisions. Featherweight does seem a little short, a little stale compared to them. Would you not say?
Do you know what it is? I think Volkanovski and Max are just that good that they elevate the rest of the division. I think there's a bit of a gap between them and everyone else. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't want to watch everyone else in that division. I mean, Tepuri is a guy I wanted to watch. I'm a bit disappointed that the Evloev fight isn't happening now.
That's a shame.
That would have been...
Should we get onto that, Joe, or did you want to make a quick comment about the loser in this fight?
Giga. Well, yeah,
Giga Chikadze
made a fool of himself, saying 9 times out of 10 I would have beaten that guy, which, by all evidence on Saturday, is not true. He would have been mollywopped every single time.
I don't see what his path to victory is.
No takedowns, and kicks are his main weapon or his best weapon, so thus gets pushed back. Boxing isn't as good as Kattar's. Kattar can actually take people down. Absolutely. Yeah, I almost feel like saying 10 times out of 10. I mean, yeah, obviously there would be moments where he could beat him, obviously, but I don't know. It's not like Chikadze lost by knocking himself out on a slam or something like this, where you go, oh, 9 times out of 10 I beat that guy. It's like, bro, you got 50-44. 50-44 was one of the cards. Someone gave a 10-8 against you. You got battered. And just take it. Take it and move on. Anyway.
Moving on.
There's some other news here, but I don't think anyone really cares about Amanda Nunes leaving AT&T until she fights Juliana Pena again. And makes me think that she'll probably lose that fight now. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Right, UFC 270, which, by the way, I've just clocked. We're 2 years away from UFC 300.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Wow.
Evolution.
Where were you for UFC 100?
That's before my time as a fan.
No, is it?
Well,
were you post
a regular follower? No, as a regular fan.
Oh,
definitely back in the days of freak show fights.
James Toney versus Randy Couture, that sort of thing.
Yeah, a boxer with no wrestling defense, being matched up with a wrestler and
getting handled. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Well, we'll talk about UFC 300 in a couple of years, but let's go on to UFC 270.
What I'd say about UFC 100, Joe, just quickly, is that was the time when you'd tell someone you're a UFC fan, and they would look at you like you're some kind of monster, and you wouldn't really be able to defend it.
No,
you couldn't tell people this was a developed, a real sport, because you just had these pumped up it's also kind of pre-USADA time.
I have a distinct memory of what was the UFC pay-per-view where it was all heavyweights. It was the all heavyweight pay-per-view. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I don't.
It was barbaric.
Dark chamber of my mind.
All heavyweights.
Locked away.
Hold on, I'll have to look this up. Yes, okay, UFC 146. I think this is the one I'm thinking of. What year was this? Is this 2000? Yes, 2012. Okay. So at the time I was living in London, I was a student. And yeah, that was it. Every single fight on the main card was a finish. And some of them were, barbaric. Like, really, really horrible. Really horrible. Just blood everywhere. It had the famous Cain Velasquez beating Bigfoot Silva in the first round. Anyway, at the time, I was my then girlfriend was at my flat, and I was watching it, and she started watching it, and she looked at me as if I was masturbating to child pornography. It was just absolute contempt and disgust for me that I would ever watch such a thing. Didn't help that I was indeed masturbating to it, but that's just, again, another issue. Yeah, listen to this. Stefan Struve beats LeVar Johnson by armbar. Stipe Miocic defeats Shane Del Rosario by knockout elbows. Roy Nelson defeats Dave Herman, KO punch. Cain Velasquez beats Antonio Silva, TKO punches. And then JDS defeats Frank Mir by TKO. Let me tell you, there was a lot. I remember watching that and the amount of blood on that card. I think it was the Roy Nelson Herman fight that had a crazy amount of blood. And so did Cain Bigfoot Silva.
Nothing says previous era of UFC quite like the name Roy Nelson.
Oh, that's a fine vintage. Anyway, we've been rambling on for way too long. UFC 270. UFC have only announced 4 fights for the main card because Spivak versus Hardy was cancelled due to Hardy breaking a finger. So obviously he can't compete.
Gutted to lose that one, Joe.
Yeah, I'm really gutted to miss out on Greg Hardy. Can't wait to see him in bare knuckle. So what Tom's decided, as he is the champion, he could pick a prelim fight to talk about.
Yeah, this is with our matchup. Of course, it being a numbered event, UFC 270. My belt is on the line. We need at least 5 fights to call. So,
by the way, sorry, let me break down the rules. Sorry, I always forget to do this. Me and Tom are going to make predictions. If we get a correct prediction of who wins the fight, we get 1 point. If we get the method correct as well, 2 points. 10 points on the line Tom, Topuria, Charles Jourdain. Tell me about why you picked this fight.
Well, as I've already mentioned, my disdain really for this card. I don't think there were any other legitimate contenders to come up. I don't think you could make an argument for, let's say,
Matt Frivola.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple no wiki wonders on this, I gotta say, and
I mean, there's some fellas on this card, Joe. They don't even have a picture on the internet. Well, I mean, we've got whole nother level.
Yeah.
Raoni Barcelos, of course, another red hot bantamweight. Would be nice to see him on the main event, but who the fuck is Victor Henry?
I know.
Who is
like,
that guy?
Sounds like a sort of Victorian era novelist. Like it's, yeah. I'm not fancying this bloke against.
No, Barcelos.
An actual fighter. Yeah. How's he going to beat it with a quill? Anyway, let's get on with this. Yes.
So Topuria Jourdain. That's the one that gets up by virtue of them both having pictures on the internet. And Topuria, after his knockout over Ryan Hall, hipster's choice, getting a bit of prominence. A man who's 11-0 and resides in one of my former cities, Alicante in Spain.
Oh, does he?
He's looking good, Joe. Yeah, he moved to Alicante at the age of 15. He's mid-20s now, so
good for him.
Claimed Spain in addition to his Georgian homeland. He's on the up in featherweight.
Yes, he is quite something. He has, what would I say, a sort of variety of ways of finishing people. He's holds no sort of discrimination on how to finish people. I've actually been very impressed with him from the Youssef Zalal fight. I remember watching him on that because I remember hearing a bit of hype about this guy and thinking that he looked so well-rounded, and not in the way of like mediocre MMA fighter well-rounded. I mean, this guy can finish from a couple different ways. Like, he is that sort of fighter. And the Ryan Hall finish I thought was particularly savage. I don't know what was going on with Ryan Hall in that fight though. There's a lot of Imanari rolls to nothing, which I think put him in quite a few awkward positions. But yeah, Topuria has been impressive so far, at least from what I've seen. And I would say that he has a little bit more of a buzz about him as well. He's more highly ranked. He has got that undefeated element to him as well. Whereas Charles Jourdain, any relation to your man who retired recently? What's his name? Alain Jourdain.
That was not part of my background research.
No. So
I can't comment. Listeners, write in with the answer. If you
want. Who's been, let's just say, up and down on in the UFC. I think he's never won 2 in a row.
Yeah, fairly middling. Dropped some losses to guys who lurk outside the rankings for the whole career. Guys like Andrew Feely or Julian Arosa.
Yes. Solid dudes, but never going to be up there. Sort of fighters.
Perhaps his biggest moment was the knockout of Doo Ho Choi.
Yes.
Him? That happened in Busan, in Doo Ho Choi's homeland. So
yes.
that was a moment for Charles Jourdain. But Joe, have you seen enough for him to challenge here?
No. I mean, not at all. To be honest, I'm not really feeling this for Charles Jourdain. Should I give my prediction first, or do you want to go first?
No, please, Joe. Please.
Topuria by knockout for me.
I've gone decision.
Oh, have you?
I've got decision. Yeah. Top game heavy. I think Jourdain will be trying to work on the mat, and I think Topuria will control him there.
So you feel like sort of like defensive grappling skills might be able to keep Jourdain in the fight?
That's how I feel, yeah. And I feel Topuria won't really offer anything up for Jourdain, but also won't be able to do enough to get the finish. So.
Yeah, he's not going to... Oh, fair enough. I can see that as well. I mean, to be honest, I think you could have picked any 3 methods for Tepuri, and I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Like, I just feel like he's better than Jourdain in every element of fighting. No offense to Charles Jourdain. I'm sure he's now going to go out there and knock him out inside a minute, but my actual belief in that is very, very low.
Yeah, it could be a good year for Tepuri.
Yes, I think this is going to be the year where he mounts his title charge.
It's going to be cut into a meme.
Yeah, we've really built him out now. He's definitely going to lose. Like, he's 100% going to lose. Right. Cody Stamann. The People's Champion, Cody Stamann. No, he's not. He's on this card. Kind of one of the... Not really a standout bantamweight, no offence to him. He is fighting Saeed Nurmagomedov, who is indeed related to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Can you believe that?
He also fighting for Akhmat in Chechnya.
Yes.
No. Yeah, in Chechnya with
Dagestan.
But Akhmat, it's owned by the man in Grozny in Chechnya. No,
who are you talking about?
The mini dictator. Yeah.
Oh, Kadyrov.
Yeah, I think he owns Akhmat, and he's signed up a lot of those Dagestanis too.
Yes. Oh God, there's been some horrible fucking freak show fights on that as well. Yeah. No, I was talking more about the cards rather than the actual, killing gay people. But like, I wasn't really going down that route. But yeah, no, Akhmat's had some interesting. Had some interesting promotion within the UFC. I believe Kamaru Usman has worn one of their T-shirts at a show. Probably the only blotch on his records, to be honest with you, for Usman. But
my fighter of the year, 2021.
Yeah, well, it's Charles Oliveira. So anyway, Cody Stamann versus Saeed Nurmagomedov. Saeed Nurmagomedov, by the way, has lost to a man fighting on this card, Barcelos, who is fighting on the prelims.
Well, I think that was a bit of a obvious banana skin for him.
Yes, if I remember correctly with that fight, he basically fought Barcelos in the way that he shouldn't have fought Barcelos, which is just rolling around with him on the ground and being unable to mount any sort of offense on him. Like, it was...
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yes.
With Raoni Barcelos. There's a little note there for your man, for your 18th century writer.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Saeed, it's, at bantamweight, it is hard to plot a path where you don't run into a few guys like that. If you are trying to make that path and you are trying to build someone up, you want them to gradually, climb their way up. I think you'd probably want a guy like Cody Stamann in there.
Yes.
I think he's got a bit of name recognition, but he's not really there in the even in the top 15, really.
Yeah.
Someone who looks a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, bouncing up between featherweight and bantamweight, not quite found.
No, he hasn't. He's got a lot of really strong fundamentals, but he hasn't really found his path, I think, to get the best out of his skills, because he's clearly so, like, I don't know, he's kind of got like that, to me, he's got that Michael Chandler thing of, like, clearly such a natural athlete, but, like, don't think he's got that oomph that Chandler has.
It's the T-Rex arms, Joe. T-Rex arms. Just cannot reach. I'm serious.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Yeah.
And on that basis, Joe, let me come to my prediction.
Go on.
Unless you have a little bit more you'd like to add on.
No, go for it.
Young Cody. Not so young Cody. No, I mean, as I say, I think it's a kind of a cherry-picked matchup for Saeed Nurmagomedov to go out and secure a decision.
Yeah, I've got Nurmagomedov by decision as well. I was looking at that Divashvili fight where I'm like, he is just going to get taken down over and over and over again, and I just don't see any way for him to really get anything going off of that. No, really, I think he's got solid enough wrestling, but just not that sort of ingrained into your DNA wrestling in the way that these Dagestani guys get. I know that, what's the other guy in the UFC? Is it Umar Nurmagomedov, who's in the UFC? Who's also at bantamweight, is known for his actual kickboxing rather than his wrestling, but he still has the wrestling as well, which is terrifying to think of. But yeah, this reeks of 30-27 Nurmagomedov, doesn't it?
It does, especially when you add in Cody Stamann just to underline those T-Rex arms. I just thought I'd pull some numbers out for you.
Oh, go on.
So he is a man of 1 meter and 68 centimeters. That's about 5'6".
Okay.
So, okay. He's a bantamweight. He's short. That's fine.
Yeah.
Most guys, with that kind of height, you'd expect a reach somewhere around 175 centimeters, 170 something. Around about his height.
What's the reach of TJ Dillashaw? Do you have that to hand by any chance?
I will pull that up for you.
Okay. I just tried to pick like the most bantamweight I could think of. But go on.
Yeah, no, that's perfect because Dillashaw is the same height as Cody Stamann. Both men are 168 centimeters, 5'6", and Dillashaw has duly 170 centimeter reach.
Okay.
That's fairly normal. Cody Stamann, bless him, has an inch, 3 inches shorter than that. 3 inches shorter than that. Yeah. Just 64-inch reach.
I wonder how that works with like trying to get for like underhooks and whatnot. Because the whole point
can't reach them, Joe.
Underhooks is that like
can't get around the shoulders.
Yeah, because you need to go really deep on them for them to have any effect. And so if he can't like dive his hands back in, which by the way, I'll bring that up when talking about the main event, is that if you can get your underhooks really like even up to the back, and if you've really got long arms up to the shoulders, you can like really properly prevent people. And I think a guy like Nurmagomedov, who is a grappler, is just probably going to have his way with him, isn't he? I mean, to be honest, I'm almost thinking a sub, but obviously I've picked decision, so hey ho. Yeah, it's hard to get excited about Cody Stamann, isn't it? That's another thing that sort of pops into my head. Is like I feel like he's fodder for much better guys in the division.
I mean, I don't want to unload on him too much because the guy is good. If he was a little bit bigger, then he could fight at featherweight, and I think he would be ranked in that division.
Yes.
But bantamweight, sorry, son, not these days.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Right. Fight number 3 on this card. What are you laughing about? We got Michel Pereira versus Andre Fialho. It's Portuguese, so Fialho, something like that. This is like, do you remember when we tried to pronounce, what's her name, that flyweight, and we were going, Arajo, and it turns out it's Araujo, which is just like completely wrong.
Yeah, I'll let you cover that.
Yes, okay.
Joe, give us the lowdown on Fialho.
Fialho?
Yes.
Was, if I remember correctly, was he the UAE Warriors welterweight champion? Why am I asking you? You don't know. Fucking hell, this lack of Wikipedia is really fucking me over now. Well, let me just tell you this. Fialho has a win in his last 4 fights. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He has a win over James Vick. And he had that came, yeah, exactly, James Vick at welterweight.
Jesus, what a downfall.
Yeah, I think that was the one that I saw that was really quite upsetting, actually, where I'm like, please just retire, you horrible human being. Yeah, he's on a 4-fight win streak, coming in from UAE Warriors. Same promotion that Khamzat Chimaev came fighting out of, I believe. Had 4 wins in there last year, and is fighting Michel Pereira. Now, according to Tapology, don't shoot the messenger, but Andre Fialho, out of 852 active welterweights in the United States, is ranked where?
50.
He is ranked number 1 in the United States for welterweight. I'm not joking. And is ranked number 4 in the Middle East.
Oh, shit.
Now, I checked this. Usman is ranked number 1 worldwide. So I think they're saying in a regional sense he's the number 1 welterweight. I have looked up some of his finishes. They are hellacious, to say the least.
Okay.
So I'm down for this fight. I am excited for this fight. And I would have been even more excited for this fight if Michel Pereira wasn't so boring now.
What he is, Joe, is a real prospect now, Michel Pereira.
Oh, it's boring, though. Oh, my God. Give me the flips. You know what I mean? Like, bring him back. God, let him gas out inside 3 minutes and then struggle for the rest of the fight.
He's still, the dude is huge. He's still got plenty of scope to gas out. I don't think that has been eliminated from his game. But I am personally a fan of this slightly more refined approach because the guy, he's got something. You know, I think he's still fun. And He's
He's just not as fun.
Who's winning this fight, Joe?
Pereira by decision.
Pereira by KO, baby.
Whoa, baby.
Yeah.
Lay it down on the line. Tom is really going for a strong defence here because he knows he needs this. After last year, by the way, let's get things right. You may be the champ right now, but I fucking whooped you last year and you know it. That's the thing. I whooped you bad and you can't admit it.
Joe, the stats don't lie. Champ at the end of 2021, Tom Ballum.
I know you are the 2021 champ, but I whooped you last year. And let's just get that right. I just want that out there. Right.
Coming out with a strong defence.
You know
Let's
what?
go.
Actually, I'm slightly regret not going for yellow knockout personally, but that's just me. Anyway, Pereira by decision.
He is Portuguese. My research on Fial, just before, he is Portuguese. You know who else has Portuguese heritage?
Who?
Chris Moutinho.
Oh, shit! Oh, my God, the Portuguese punching bags. Wow, what a duo. What a tag team that would be. Right. Let's get to the first of 2 title fights. Now, did they do this as a joke of having the flyweights and the heavyweights fighting on the same card? That's what I want to know.
Well, UFC now is a highbrow institution. That's more kind of UFC 100 type shit. As we said, we're on the way to UFC 300. The question going into this first one, Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo, is, should it be happening now, Joe?
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, the last performance, the last fight these guys had, did you feel there was a clear winner? Were there questions unanswered? Was there...
Oh, there was a clear winner to me.
Was there a scratch, an itch that needed scratching?
Not massively, no. Not really.
No, and I feel like this is division unlike maybe featherweight or maybe heavyweight, where, it's a little bit, it's very thin at the top, and most guys have really separated themselves from the pack. Here we do have some flyweights coming up, and I think this trilogy fight, it could have been left out there. I don't think Figueiredo had been dominant enough to justify not just, another crack again. There are some other names in there worthy of the title fight. So I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm not that excited about this fight.
Okay.
Because of that.
I am going to defend this fight by saying that I actually don't think there's actually any other contenders for this.
Askarov?
No. Not for me, personally. I might have gone for... If there was Askarov versus Royval and he'd beaten Royval, then maybe I would go for that. But Askarov's maybe the only other one. But to me, there's no clear contender. And you need to get Moreno back out there. They've promoted him really well, actually, since the last fight. He's been doing a lot of television, contrary to Francis Ngannou. He's been on quite a lot of UFC's Spanish broadcasts. He's doing a lot of commentary as well. Not a lot, but he's been doing commentary on the Spanish broadcasts as well. And I feel like you need to get him back out there. It's been 6 months since the last fight. And I think Figueiredo is a good enough opponent for him. It's a trilogy that sells on it itself as well. I'm looking at it from the sales standpoint of like, Figueiredo was such a beast at flyweight. Even in the first Moreno fight, which he would have won if it hadn't had that point deduction.
I think I still did have him winning that fight.
Oh, did you really? Yes, you did actually. Yes, I remember. I remember correctly. Yes, you did have that. I had it as a draw. But yeah, he would have won that fight without the points deduction. And yeah, I think it's fine to have this as a third fight. I just don't think there's anything else out there apart from my boy, Manal Cap, who is finally making his run. He's made weight once in his last 2 fights in which he's won, so he's on the rise, baby.
The last great Joe Greenwood pick. Ominous for Tepuri right now. Anyway, yeah, I think might have also been the case that Askarov was injured, in which case, the boy's got to fight, Moreno's got to fight, I agree. If Askarov wasn't injured, though, they've already got a fight against each other. It was a split decision draw. Askarov is 15-0 and has won his last 3 fights in the UFC. that could have been done instead. And this Figueiredo fight could be left out there for a future matchup. But anyway, we have it. Sorry, go.
No. Do you think that Figueiredo should stay at flyweight as well? That's the other question I have for you.
With the absolute killers you got in bantamweight, I'd be doing anything I can to avoid that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Unless he wins this and takes that sort of quick step up to bantamweight for a title shot.
Do you think the matchups are great for him up there?
I think those guys actually might be just too big for him.
I think that kind of disqualifies his big advantage that he has at flyweight, which is his power at that weight class. And I think he opens himself up to some seriously tough competition. And,
what
variety. How do you match him up with a guy like Sanhagen? Can he touch Sanhagen?
Sanhagen's big as well for that division.
How do you match him up against Dvalishvili? Can he stay away from Dvalishvili?
Yeah. I don't know. Is he one of these guys that
What about
Petr
Yan?
Fucking hell. I don't know. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to comment on that until I see it. And I think we will see it. I think he will eventually go to bantamweight. But I don't know if it's worth commenting on it now, considering he's fighting at flyweight. So I'll wait until he makes the move official and then officially fights up there before really commenting on it.
Of course, part of this discussion is provoked by the news that's out that because of concerns about Figueiredo potentially not making weight, they have asked your man off the fight night,
Brandon Royval.
Royval, who snuck a kind of split decision against Bontarine.
Didn't take any heavy damage though, did he?
Not really.
Did he dish out any damage?
No, also not really. It was a bit of a scrappy fight. Well, it could have been stopped maybe in the third, but wasn't a standout performance for Royval. But they've asked him to be ready just in case Figgy doesn't come in on weight. Although I don't really see the fight being scrapped in that scenario, so I find it a little bit perplexing.
Yeah, maybe they would, because he's had previous of struggling to make weight. Although he's never failed to... Oh, he failed to make weight for the first Benavidez title fight. Hence why it was 2 murders that happened. That happened with
break this fight down for us, Joe. What do you think? How do you see it going?
You want my prediction?
Well, yeah. Bit of a dress around, if you can.
I think Moreno has some skills to negate Figueiredo's best abilities, which is that he can take him down and sort of sap him of his energy and, pull him down that way, which is what he did in the second fight. If I remember correctly, he finished him in the third, and in the second round he really took him down and sort of wore on him that way. However, having said all that, with 6 months off and training with Henry Cejudo, I have picked Deiveson Figueiredo to win this fight, and I've picked him by decision. I feel like that last fight against Moreno was the result of his schedule the previous year. I think this is a guy who can't fight 5 times within the space of a year, which is what he did, basically, last time. And I think it caught up with him. Remember, when he beat Perez, 3-4 weeks later, he's fighting Moreno. He's having to do 2 big weight cuts, and then he has a hellacious fight with Moreno. I just feel like he didn't fully recover for that second Moreno fight. So I have picked Figueiredo for this fight because I think he's going to come back stronger, and he's going to come back fresher, and I think he's going to come out there with some new ideas. And he has still got one-hitter-quitter power at flyweight. No matter what anyone says, he has got that power at flyweight. And I think I've got him by decision.
Wow. You've surprised me there, Joe. I've got to say. You have surprised me, yeah. The bookmakers, they disagree with you. Got Brandon Moreno going in at 1.6. Deiveson Figueiredo at 2.6.
So what's that in fractions?
Let me just
Sorry,
switch
that's
that up.
the only way I could think. What does a pound get me?
Yeah, sorry, a pound would get you 60p, would it be, if you picked Brandon Moreno? It's 3 to 5 for
Okay.
Brandon Moreno, and 12 on to win 19 if you pick Figgy.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's just how I think that the power is just so much in Figueiredo's advantage, and I think that the speed is about equal. That's just what I'm envisioning. I just think he's going to have that power to kind of stop Moreno. Not stop him as in, like, finish him, per se. Maybe he'd be able to do that, but I think just to kind of stop his game plan from going on. But Moreno is tough, to say the least, and is supremely talented.
Something he's certainly shown, Brandon Moreno. Huge fart. Huge.
Maybe.
Gets him through.
Some of that Mexican food, man, let me tell you. Anyway. Go on.
Even though he does have the capacity for a huge fart, Moreno, I have gone for... well, let me walk you through it a little bit first.
Go on, then.
So you have surprised me with the narrative you've come in with there, because I know you were pretty hot on Moreno, and you were very impressed by that showing in the second fight.
Yes. At
the time, it seemed to me you were more looking to give that to a credit to Moreno rather than looking at Figgy's failings in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Never really got going. Moreno did come in with a slightly different game plan, and kind of just ran Figueiredo over, really. He looked flat, he looked tired.
Agreed.
And not great showing. So actually, I've gone for Figueiredo by decision.
Have you really?
Joe. I've gone for it as well, yeah.
You're not swerving me right now, and you've actually gone for... Really? Why Figueiredo? Is it the same narrative as what I've come up with?
Similar, although with more attention to the second fight. I just really feel like as much as Moreno did well, Figueiredo did really, really poorly. And I just don't think we'll see that again. I think he'll be really braced and prepared for that type of fight. He showed in the first fight that he could, go with Moreno, even though Moreno, as I say, did have a slightly different approach. He showed he could stay fresh and fit and fight for 5 rounds. It never looked like that in the second fight. So I think Figgy's got it there in the tank, and yeah, with the time to make those adjustments, I expect him to come out on top. Of course, you mentioned Moreno's toughness. Nobody could pick a knockout here.
Yeah,
that man can eat shots.
Yeah, basically the exact same thought process as me. And part of my thought process came from as well as re-watching the second fight, and then looking at Figueiredo's schedule as the champion. I was thinking, like, I think this guy was just burnt out. I think he'd emptied a lot of himself in getting to that title. Fighting in October 2019, beating Tim Elliott, then beating Benavidez in February, Benavidez again in July, Alex Perez in November, Moreno draw in December, and then Moreno again in June. I know it's 6 months, but man, 6 months is not a long time to recover from a fight like that. Like, how many times have you watched the first time they fought? Have you watched it a couple times?
I think maybe twice, yeah.
That fight is so hellacious. It's a barnstorming fight. And this is what I really loved about the Apex fights at that time, was that it was literally just they didn't know how to set the sound up for that place, so everything was really loud, and you could just hear the corners just screaming in Portuguese and Spanish, and it was just intense and such a emotional fight, because it was like the last pay-per-view main event of the year. It was the flyweight card as well, where they had the women's flyweight fight on there as well. These two not particularly sexy divisions, not ones that people get hyped for, and they just emptied him. I just felt like he emptied himself in that period. That I think he struggled in that second fight because of that. So yeah, I think this is a really interesting fight, and a slightly under the radar fight as well, that I feel like needs a bit more praise on it because of the main event's narrative.
There's that, and I do think people are a little bit tired. I just don't think it's really there. I just don't think the ground is really there for this fight.
No.
That's the other thing.
No, I somewhat agree. I think Askarov probably was the more legitimate contender, but I get why the UFC picked Figueiredo, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy. Listen, after those first two fights, I'm happy to watch these guys fight a third time.
Last one before we move on. Who do you want to win?
Ooh, I think Moreno, because I don't know. I don't need every champion of mine to be some Ric Flair knockoff. Do you know what I mean? Like with the suits and the flash things and the, I'm gonna fucking murder you in front of your family sort of thing. I kind of like the fact Moreno's a bit dorky, and it just seems like quite a pleasant person. Although saying that, did you see the video from his Instagram of the last UFC pay-per-view? It was him watching Kai Kara-France beat Cody, and he was filming it, and he's like, "No, Kai, you're stealing my money! You're stealing my money, Kai!" I was like, "That is funny, to be fair."
That's very funny.
Yeah. So I think he's, in terms of a person, I like him. And I don't know. I like the sort of goofy nature of him. I don't need all these guys to be these, as I said, the Ric Flair sort of braggadocious sort of thing. I like a humble guy.
Plucky underdog.
Yeah, how can you not like that? It's the same thing that when you hear things about Volkanovski, and I'm like, I like the fact that he's just sort of like a normal guy for the most part. No, it seems like it. It seems like a pleasant...
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's just a bloke. Yeah,
just literally a bloke who I work with. Like who just happens to be the best featherweight in the world. Like, I think that's part of the problem as well. And we'll get to the main event in a second. I think that's the problem that I have with Kamaru Usman. Is that I never feel like he's being legitimate. I never feel like I've legitimately seen the real Kamaru Usman. I feel like there's a lot of acting.
I think that's him. I just think that's him. Yeah, I just think he's
the true king of cringe.
Yeah, really, yeah. Just can't help it. I really think that.
Oh well, fair enough.
Main event time, Joe.
Right, main event time. Oh my word, Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane, heavyweight title fight on the line. A couple weeks ago, I wasn't really feeling this, whatever. I'm a couple days away. I am so into this fight. It is... I'm so excited for this. So excited for this. Is the reason I'm excited for this is that I rewatched all of Francis Ngannou's UFC fights? Maybe. But let me tell you, was
that the fight 5 minutes before the pod, was it?
No, that was a good hour the other day of just.
Oh, because you watched the first Stipe fight then?
No, I skipped that. I watched the first round. I watched the first round of that. That was unbelievable. But I watched all the other stuff. Oh, not the Derek Lewis fight. Actually, I didn't watch that either.
Oh, Jesus.
Although I did skim it.
That was Francis 1.0. We're on 2.0 now, Joe. After that display against Stipe last time out. What a showing that was for Francis Ngannou.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. Does Francis Ngannou take down Ciryl Gane in the first round?
I haven't considered that. I'll tell you that. But did he show a desire to do that against Stipe? No.
He sprawled and then he took his back.
He sprawled. Yeah, he showed. Basically, Stipe was like, "All right, we're not going to trade. I'm not going to catch him. Remember the first fight, tire him out, duck down." So something was different, Joe.
Yeah.
The world had changed.
Yeah. It's a different world now. It's a different animal.
That was quite a moment where Francis successfully sprawled and, as you say, then took Stipe's back. And really, you see alarm bells going off. And there was like a seismic change in the atmosphere there. And I was like, oh, shit. And Francis took the center of the octagon there.
Bro, that fight makes me sad. Like, it just makes me so sad.
I fucking love that, Joe. I love that. That was peak Francis.
No. The moment was incredible, and I'm delighted for Francis. But the thing that upsets me is that like Stipe never got enough respect as the UFC heavyweight champion, and sorry man, he was a great champion. He had great championship fights. He had great championship performances. Like Stipe, championship fights. You know, you're like, fuck it. You know, UFC. You go on the Fight Pass. You're like, fuck it. Let me watch Stipe Overeem again. Yeah, that's a fucking sick fight. You know, Stipe Cormier 2. Stipe Cormier 1 is an incredible fight. You know, he has given so much, and I feel like he just kind of got shat on after that Francis fight. And I don't know. I feel a little bit bummed out for him, basically. But anyway. I think part of the problem that I have with that Stipe disrespect is that Francis Ngannou just has not been promoted at all since beating Stipe. And
this is a news item we can't miss coming into this fight.
This is his final fight on the contract.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it doesn't mean that if he wins this fight, he can just leave. He's got till the end of the year. And the UFC have got the championship clause where they can match any offer that's made to him. No matter what it is, which I doubt that they will do, considering what he probably will be offered if he does go and try and box for Showtime, for example. Is Francis Ngannou the scariest heavyweight there has ever been? Well, now you think about the Stipe fight and what he's potentially developed over the last year or so, just under a year. Could he be the scariest heavyweight in the world?
I mean, I have to say, Joe, like after the second Stipe fight, I was just absolutely blown away, and I was completely kind of swept up in that moment and the significance of his evolution between the two fights. Where I would have answered you without doubt, we're in the era of Francis. There's no one out there. I mean, who are you going to match him up with? Who can possibly offer something? And as we referenced on our review of the year in 2021, that was kind of, Ciryl Gane. He was creeping up, silently through the bushes.
Yeah, who's that?
And here we are now, Joe.
Yes.
And I can't answer your question definitively because Ciryl Gane is not like any other heavyweight I've ever seen before.
We are looking at the future style of the heavyweight division, I think, which is guys who are 230, 240 pounds who can bounce in and out on the balls of their feet. They don't plod. They don't.
How many guys have you seen like that, though, Joe? How many? Who are we talking about?
Don't disrespect my boy Tom Aspinall, right?
Yeah.
The UK, Ciryl, he's the French version, the sexy version. Everyone wants the fucking French version. Give me the meat and potatoes Tom Aspinall, the humble Tom Aspinall. I think that
fair play,
I think we're seeing, intelligent striking as well. That's the thing about Gane.
A certain Chris Dawkins, would he?
Well, until he got fucking blitzed by Lewis. Which, by the way, I still love Derek Lewis for that. It's just like, I'm going to throw a switch kick just so I can get close to you. Imagine the Chael Sonnen Vanderlei Silva, I can't let you get close, and then Chael throws a switch kick. Like, that's... like, that would be incredible. I think we're looking at maybe the two scariest heavyweights, but they're scary in their own way of just... Do you want to get lights turned out in a moment, or do you want to get humiliated on the feet? Like... Okay, the clear way for Francis to win is to just steamroll and knock him out. Like, when you rewatch the Rosenstruik and Ngannou fight, you knew I was going to bring it up.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
The blueprint.
Watch Rosenstruik. He sees this fucking train coming at him. He's like, well, I know what I have to do. And he does everything correctly, and he still goes to sleep. He throws a leg kick. He lands a left hand, I think.
Yeah.
He's
going backwards.
He lands some good shots going backwards, and Francis is just like, I'm not bothered, mate. Like, you are going out whether you like it or not. And it is a terrifying visual. Also, does Francis have the greatest knockout in the history of the UFC? Well, the history of MMA. Against Overeem.
Definitely an iconic moment. I mean, greatest uppercut, him and Jeremy Stevens against Dos Anjos. It was got to be one of the two.
He beat Stevens easily. Like, I think this is top 5 all time knockout. Like, this. By the way, this is a podcast episode that we can break down. We'll do our top 5 knockouts, which we've done in the past, but we will do it again. There's something about Francis, man, that's like. I know that you can break down all these ways that Ciryl can win this, of him dipping in and out of range, moving side to side. The fact that he has got that movement side to side as well. But the wingspan of Francis is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Like, I rewatched Francis's first fight in the UFC against Luis Henrique. Do you remember this fight?
Is it middle name there?
What's that?
Is his middle name Enrique and his surname's Enrique?
Luis Henrique?
Okay.
No,
I don't remember.
Not the Spain manager, but he's a Brazilian guy who they both.
This is when Francis had the Predator haircut.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Francis 0.5.
Yes, exactly. Francis gets taken down, and he struggles to get back up. The only reason they get back up is because the ref breaks it up on the ground. He's like, stand back up. And he does that a couple of times with the clinch as well. And there's a moment in the clinch where Henrique's got him pressed up against the fence, and you see Francis' arms. He can basically put his arms in the underhooks and, like, scratch Henrique's head if he wanted to. That's how long his arms are. So I feel like Gane will not get into too many clinch positions, maybe. Or will he? Is that the sensible move, is to get him into clinch positions and try and tire his arms out that way?
I definitely think that's a good option for Gane. I think he's quite comfortable there, and he's obviously limiting Francis's power, and will wear on him as well. So, we did see a few times in the Derek Lewis fight where Gane would go to clinches.
Yes, I guess it's that thing of you either want to be all the way out or all the way in.
Yeah.
And it's that half space in between where you can't get caught, like, on your feet.
Yeah.
Can I just, by the way, the Henrique fight, the knockout that he lands, left uppercut through the guard, and just Henrique goes down, and then
I do remember.
And then Francis with another just ridiculous, like, here's one extra to take home with you. Then beat Curtis Blades by doctor stoppage. Bojan Mihailovic again with a knockout who looked like a fucking Nazi. Anthony Hamilton with a Kimura submission. Do you remember this?
Brute power.
Yeah,
Brute power.
It was just, here's a little bit of technique, and here is 10,000 horsepower just to fucking rip your arm off. And then, do you know what I love as well? The Arlovsky knockout and the Dos Santos knockout. He hits them, and then they panic and basically turn their backs to him because they don't know what to do. This is just the thing about Francis, is he has power which, if it doesn't put you to sleep, it bamboozles you of what the fuck am I supposed to do with this guy?
Yeah.
And the Overeem fight, even before that knockout, there's a bit where Overeem has him up against the fence. And Overeem is a big heavyweight. He's a big heavyweight. And Francis is so much bigger. It is crazy how big this guy is. Shall I give my prediction?
I'm excited, Joe. Before you do, I'm
really
excited.
It comes down to this as well. Francis Ngannou as well is, I will say, the most exciting fighter in the UFC. In that, the first round of his fight starts, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm about to see, and it could be incredible. He is the most exciting fighter in the UFC, and he is fighting the most technical heavyweight there has ever been in the UFC. At least in a striking element.
So just before you get into your prediction, I feel like we should take a little moment to talk about a few other aspects of this fight. One of them being, of course, the fact they shared the trainer, who Francis has fallen out for. There's a bit of bad blood there.
Lopez.
Both fighting out of his gym in Paris. And then Francis obviously started losing, and they parted ways.
There was also a lot of Francis saying he wanted to fight in the US, he wanted to train in the US, and that he was spending time between the two. And apparently Francis has what could be described as a bad attitude as well, which is a shame.
So we know that they've sparred before.
Yes.
And Gane said himself, you'll see this in the UFC countdown, that it gave him a lot of confidence fighting a guy who at the time was a top 5 UFC heavyweight, and he was touching him with ease. But then Francis counters that with the video that they haven't released, which is of him putting Gane flat out on his back.
I haven't seen this.
Starch. Well, Francis says that happened, and there's a video, but not been released.
Oh, classic.
Yes,
That's going to get released on the Friday, isn't it? That's going to get That's going to be interesting when that gets released, if it does. Okay.
So there is that added element there, and then of course, we do just have to underline how dominant Gane has been. Greatest challenge, would it be Volkov? Would that be the guy who's caused him the most issues so far?
Yeah, and even then, I don't think it was that much of an issue for him.
No, it was just a point scoring match, and of course Volkov is quite well versed in that. But dominant win for Gane.
Do you know what I find most impressive about Gane as well is the variety of strikes that he throws from different. Like, it's not just 1-2 down the middle. It's not just a body shot. It's not just. He is able to mix in some things that you're just not expecting. Like, he threw this up. You know, remember when Yair knocked out the zombie? He threw that elbow against Derek Lewis up against the fence. Like, he threw an elbow up that way to then, because he wanted Lewis to take that and then move to the left, because then he had a left high kick coming. Yeah, to separate, and then he could. I just don't think Francis is going to stand up against the back of the fence in the way that Derek Lewis does. Derek Lewis has also said that mentally he was just not in that fight at all. I don't know if you've seen those comments recently.
I have. I've got to say, I don't see a real path to victory for Lewis there. I mean, of course I do. It's a huge right, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
there is a path to victory, but I think he'd have to rerun that fight quite a few times to land that shot.
Yeah, we're also talking about a guy in Gane who's never really had his chin tested either, so we don't know what his chin is like. It's not like he ate a shot from Lewis and just walked through it. Like, we haven't really seen anything major because he doesn't allow himself to.
At the same time, though, we have seen just little short shots at heavyweight put people away. Shots that you might just like brush past if they didn't have the effect they do. I think Gane must have taken a few, slight blows that have knocked out other heavyweights and come through unscathed. We haven't seen him wobbly.
That's true.
All right, Joe, I'll give you the honours.
You're going to let me go first?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I have gone for Francis Ngannou by knockout.
Bloody hell. You're defying the odds makers again.
Why? Is Gane the favourite?
Gane is the favourite.
Fuck off.
Gane is the favourite.
Seriously?
Get out there, make yourself some money. It's if you want to pick Francis Ngannou for this fight, you put £11 on and you win 15.
Jesus. Ngannou by knockout and Figueiredo by decision. Wow. What have you gone for?
So I had a head and heart.
I knew it. Go on.
Well, I had a head and heart meeting here, Joe. And normally, you are the impassioned.
Well, that's the cliche of me when actually
red-blooded. But you did turn a corner there. Yeah, we did kind of. You did come a bit more logical, and this is obviously part of that. I mean, the logical choice is Gane for me, but I picked Ngannou by knockout.
Wow.
Because I want it, Joe. That's what I want to happen. Because fuck the UFC, pay your man, the big star, pay your man, and Gane's still going to be there. Gane,
By the way,
it won't do him any harm.
Also,
it'll do Francis harm. I don't want that.
Also, what are you going to be more excited for? Gane versus Jones or Francis versus Jones?
Oh, Gane versus Jones does sound fun, but I thought you were going to say, what are you going to be more excited for? A thunderous, pounding, just absolute destruction in about the 1 minute or 2 minutes that it would have to happen in. Maybe it could go 2 or 3 rounds. I don't know how long you can go before the odds just become untenable. Gane becomes such a strong favourite as the fight goes on. Or do you want to see a kind of 25-minute clinic like we saw against Derek Lewis?
No. I'm happy with either of those things. Like, I'm not someone who... I genuinely... If Ciryl Gane dominates Francis Ngannou for 25 minutes, at the end of that, I'm going to be absolutely amazed and delighted that I saw that. Because I just saw this guy do something incredible. Like, either way, I'm going to see some guy do something incredible. Like, it's like if you see, like... I don't know. There was a documentary I watched once about this Canadian guy who wanted to be the Canadian Evel Knievel. And he would do the Evel Knievel thing of like, I'm going to jump my motorbike from this place to this place. and he would do it by eye. And it's like, okay, I'm going to see something incredible here. Either this guy is going to fall so short that it's actually horrifying, or he's going to fucking land it. And that's the same thing with this. I'm going to see two guys try and jump the fucking motorbike, and one of them's going to fail, and one of them's going to succeed. And to be honest, you know, you're saying 2 rounds. I feel like if Francis is in the second round with Gane, and it gets to the second stage of that second round, after that, I think it's Gane's fight. I think Francis needs him out of there quick.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. Sorry,
Quick,
maybe I wasn't clear about that. I was saying his chances of winning, you know, seem to drop off a cliff after about 2 rounds.
I think if he's in the third round, I think from there I don't see.
My one riposte to what you said there, yeah, we're gonna see a very exciting fight
for sure,
no matter the outcome. However, I have seen Francis beaten over 25 minutes
by Stipe.
I've seen that. Made me a little bit sad. I haven't seen Gane have to deal with some adversity, so that's the main thing I want to see in this fight.
How does Gane deal with adversity? Even if he like prevents it from happening, how does he prevent it from happening? That's what I want to see. Like, is it just a case of just going, I see you coming, and I'm going to time it so that when you throw, I'm just out of the way, or is it just, no, not even going to start you, not going to let you. I'm just going to completely just cut you off every time. I think it's.
I think so. I think the second there.
Oh, you reckon it's just like any hint of he's just out of there?
Just up there.
So it could be quite a boring fight then if it goes to 25 minutes.
Well, I thing is, I don't think you can stay away from Francis. I do expect, unlike in the Derek Lewis fight, that Gane will have to weather the kind of adversity that Stipe experienced in that first round of their first fight, where he ate the shots, Joe. He was wobbling, he was in trouble. I think Gane in that situation, I think 99 guys out of 100, if they're in trouble against Ngannou, it's over.
Is he going to be that one guy? I mean, Stipe is the only one who's dealt with it in that first round in the first fight. Where, when I watch that first round again, Stipe takes humongous shots, like just holy shit. How has he survived that? And he barely misses other ones where it's like just sort of like barely getting out of the way, just like trying to get, and then he lands stuff on him where it's like. That first round, it is actually incredible. I know some people afterwards are like, it's not as good as you think it is. No, it is as good as you think it is. It's incredible. I can't. The 2 options weighs in my head of, is it going to be Gane by decision? I mean, maybe Gane could even finish him, like in the way that he did with Lewis, of just like, Francis just wilts. Yeah. Could that happen?
Stipe couldn't do it to him.
Derek Lewis has also wilted before. Mark Hunt, JDS, that sort of thing. Yeah. So it is there, whereas Francis hasn't had that yet. So, man, I am excited for this fight.
Yeah, it's a hell of a fight.
I am so excited for this fight. Right, let's run through our predictions one last time. Remember, 1 point for getting the winner of the fight correct. 2 points if we get the method as well. So we've got Tepuri versus Jourdain, which has not been confirmed yet for the main card. I'm just going to refresh it just quickly, just to see if the UFC have updated it. But yeah, Tepuri versus Jourdain.
We both picked Tepuri by decision. No, you picked no.
Tepuri KO.
Oh, so it's all riding on Tepuri, I believe. But go on to the next one.
No. We've got another one. Nurmagomedov versus Stamen. I've got decision. Nurmagomedov.
I've got decision. Yep.
Pereira versus Ciryl.
I went for KO, yeah.
I went for decision, Pereira.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's banking 2 points for me.
Figueiredo versus Moreno. We've both gone for Figgy by decision. And then Francis versus Ciryl Gane. Both gone for Ngannou by KO. Also, just before we wrap it up, watching the early Francis and Ngannou fights, listening to the commentators call Francis and Ngannou Gano and not saying his name correctly, and it took John Anik, the true professional, to get it correct. Yeah, he obviously does his research, unlike DC and Joe Rogan.
The Tom Ballum of the UFC commentating.
Well, I'm the Goldie. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, all guts, no no brain. Right. Wow. I'm hyped now for this card after talking it through with you. Tom, thank you so much. Listeners, thank you so much as well for listening. UFC 270, Ngannou versus Gane. This weekend, January 22nd, 2022, from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. I cannot wait for Sunday morning. That's right, I do not stay up like a jabroni mark to watch this stuff. Unless it's Khabib versus Conor. I think that was the last time I did that. So thank you very much. And Tom, thank you very much for joining me.
Can't wait. Speak to you next week, Joe.
I'll speak to you next week. It's going to be great. Right, listeners, goodbye.
Bye-bye.